Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, as always, is our rip-roaring renovator, Bethany McChesney.
It's ripping my back, that's for sure.
Have you ever done like roofing, like shingles, roofs?
Like standing on top of the roof.
Hmm.
No, I'm a little bit afraid of heights. I I've done little bits where I've like helped people for like 10 minutes and then I can't handle it.
If you want to blow out your Achilles and calves and back in one day,
Oh yeah.
just oh, I did when I my other house before I did my own roof, me and a couple of my friends, and I'm like, it's not complicated work, but it's hard work,
Oh yeah.
you
Hmm.
know. And definitely you
And
need it.
shingle bundles are heavy and
You need one person who knows what they're
oh
doing because otherwise you're going to make a mess of it. But
yeah, and it'll take way too long.
yeah, but it was hard work. It did save me a lot of money. I think probably saved me 3 grand almost.
Yeah, roofers can charge a lot of money.
Well, I mean, they're good at what they do, right? You know,
And it's a high risk job.
yeah, good help is worth paying good money for. That's why I charge so much. All right, let's talk about your renos. How is it going? Are we done? Are you ever going to have any time again?
Uh, we are not done. But I mean, the, done is a very like fluid term right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So our gym was offered a bigger space. We've been looking. We almost moved into a space in January and then it fell through because Good Life wasn't happy with our location. And there's a lot that goes on behind the
Good
scenes
life.
sometimes with, and again, we're in a small town and there's non-competes with like large franchises and stuff. And it's really complicated sometimes being a small business and there's a lot of red tape and you kind of if you don't have this big team of lawyers sometimes it's things are just really tricky. So we have a really awesome location. I have great landlords, so they've been working to try to get me a bigger space and this situation came up and it was it's so funny because when you've kind of worked with someone for so long you like verbal agreements are like written paper, right? So we just kind of met in the parking lot one day. Hey, do you want this? I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. And then all of a sudden walls were being torn down. So then we're like, oh, okay, this is happening now. So all of a sudden we're in like full on gym renovation mode. Thankfully it's the same location, just slightly over. So we didn't have to like move things a long way or anything, but we were just like literally thrown into it. And then yeah, it was kind of like every spare second of the day for like the last month. So we are last week during the long weekend, we did fully move in. So we are operating classes now out of a space, which is it's so nice. It's like 1.5 times the size of our gym, and we were really outgrowing it. And I host teams and stuff, and that kind of stuff was just really difficult in our space. So it's been really, really nice. But there's other things that are also they're not done yet. We have an office and a treatment room and other things like that that are taking a little bit more work. We have a turf section that, there's things that are still coming, but we're operating out of it right now. I'm sharing this space with the gymnastics coach. She does, yeah, like young kids gymnastics. So it's also kind of working around that kind of stuff. It's very exciting. I'm especially excited to actually be able to host events, and we've been talking to about some fun ideas that will hopefully be coming down the wire that we can host now with this location. And yeah, I'm excited. And again, it's physical labor and obviously like we work out all the time, but I'm not used to like being bent over and laying flooring for 8 hours. So my back hurts in ways and my kneecaps hurt from kneeling. Like it's those other things where it's like, oh my gosh, like and my fingers hurt. My fingers are I have blisters like in places I've never had blisters from flooring and stuff. So yeah, anyone who does physical labor, it is not for the weak. I'm sore.
There's a lot of people out there that think they're strong and fit and stuff. Go spend a week with a concreter.
Oh,
or like a mason worker, or like even what I do, like it
uh,
and I'm on the lazier side of trades, but 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 but
mhm,
yeah, man, it's rough. It's you get an appreciation and you start to realize, we give a lot of jobs a lot of respect, like doctors and things like that, and they deserve it.
mhm,
But the men and women that are building your houses and your buildings and your roads and everything
mhm,
else, yeah, don't underestimate those people. They are fucking hard ass.
and even things like painting a
Oh,
ceiling, your arms overhead, like I was sweating. I was like my neck, I had to like put a hot pad on my neck. Like there's just yeah, doing that repetitive movement all day long. And like Jeff's been having fun with it too, some of them, and he'll like start his watch like it's a workout and see if he can like maintain zone two for as long as possible with some things. And count
I
it. Because that's the other thing too is it's been really hard to fit in proper training. And
yeah.
we're in the gym all day long, but then it's like, well, I like it's been really hard, and even everything aches, so it's not even as effective. And my like emotional energy towards workouts, really, I literally am just checking them off the box. So, and
Yeah.
I've taken a lot more rest days than I ever normally would. So, but it's a phase, and it's exciting as a phase too. So we're taking it in stride and not trying to get too stressed out about the areas of our life that are taking a hit right now because it's not going to be like that forever. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and yeah, like, it's going to be so much. It's for the better. It's going to be great. It's going to be the ends justifies the means,
mhm.
and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I can't wait till like, and I'm going to continue to pressure you to do an event, something different, like constantly, because I've established this fact. I have great ideas.
Uh-huh.
I am not an event planner. It's
Yeah.
just not going to happen.
Mhm.
But
And I love hosting and organizing events.
Oh, and yeah, like the ones I've been to that you've had have been great. They've been fantastic.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to keep pressuring until, and Beth, you should do this. Wouldn't this be fun? Think how great you do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm all
Full-blown
for it.
manipulation.
Yeah. Mhm. Just
So
keep stroking my ego too.
there you go. Oh,
You're so good at
oh,
hosting events. You
Beth, people would talk about this event all year.
There we go.
Be awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it sounds good. And I'm excited. I'm excited just to come check it out. Do some workouts there. It'll be fun. Um, so my weekend, this was the big weekend. The
Mhm.
big weekend that had about a week of notice before it was the big weekend.
Yeah.
Um, so first I want to tell you that I'm going to lay it all out. So the first bit was I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I think what an up and probably okay. So for those who don't know, which I'm going to assume is probably nobody that listens to this podcast, because really you probably already know. So I went down to Ocala, Florida, to be the head official for Deka for the Deka Fit event down there. So getting down there, I thought this is a great opportunity. I'm going to bring my ruck and I'm going to do a fit ruck while I'm there, like during an open wave, right? I'll just go down and do that, right? And that way I've done like the ruck trifecta for the year,
Mhm.
right? So I'm like, okay, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. So that means I have to carry my ruck through the airport. And I'm like, so I'm a little sketchy about this in the first place. So I don't really know how to do this. And then so for my flight, I was allowed a carry-on and a personal item. So my personal item had my little computer bag slides under the thing, a couple little things in there. Then I got my carry-on and I'm like, well, so I packed my carry-on and I put my ruck vest and the weight plate in the carry-on. So it's like, you know, 40, 50 pound carry-on, which I don't even know you're allowed to do. But when you look on the website, they don't weigh it. They don't say
They
there's
don't
any,
weigh the carry-ons
no,
yet.
they don't say it's just got to fit in the thing.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so I'm carrying it. And I thought as well, I don't want anyone to think I have an extra bag or what. I thought I'd get in trouble. So I just left it in there. And then it's like a mile and a half to walk from the car. And so I either have to farmer carry it or have that single strap on top that thin cuts into your shoulder. And so I'm maneuvering it around. And I finally get through and I get to the security and they put it through. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm getting pulled over for this for sure. And I did. And we pull it out. And the guy's like, what the fuck is this? And so I have to explain it, and he's like, okay, and that's fine. And we put it back in, and I carried. But by the time I was done, like my shoulder was just agony. And then I'm in the plane trying to make it look as casual as possible that I'm putting this 50-pound bag into the overhead. Because I don't want anyone to come by and go, that's way too fucking heavy. It's like, no, it's okay. It's good. So and we get down there, and then I had issues getting my rental car and all that stuff. And I was didn't get to the venue till 1 a.m. and all that. But so first off, venue, stunning,
Hmm.
absolutely gorgeous, by far the best Deka venue I've seen. And it it's a horse park, but it's not. You can see money falling off the walls. Like this place is so lavish that it's unbelievable. The hotel was crazy. They've got like a nice restaurant and then another on site, and then this Mexican restaurant on site. That's like it's more like a walk up and get your food. You can sit there, but it's really really good Mexican food apparently. I'm not. Don't hold me to that because I'm not a great judge of Mexican food. My palate sucks. I judge pizza, but that's it.
Hmm.
Um, so, but just the whole place, like the buildings were gorgeous. I think there was two hotels on site, and they're building a third.
Oh, wow.
And the rooms in the hotel we were in were beautiful. The venue, when you're in the venue where the actual race is, and by the way, the floor is in great shape, which is nice, and it had good grip, so that was nice.
Oh, that's good. Hmm.
On each end of the course, there's a giant video screen where they put up the live stream while they were running. So that was really cool. Sound system worked well. Like everything was really good for a venue. It's far and away the best Deca venue I've ever seen. So we really enjoyed that. As far as the event itself goes, so I went in there and my goal was to, and said beforehand, big thing was we're not going to review with video rep quantity or quality. And we'll get to why that was a problem later. And then so I did another thing that I was big on was educating the officials, giving them empowerment. And we did that, went through 30 minutes, maybe even a little more, walk through every zone, laid it down for the judges, what was expected of them, to have confidence, to believe in themselves. If they think it's a no rep, it is a no rep, unless it's absolutely 100% flawless, then you have every right to call it a no rep. So they seemed pretty good with that. Everything, well, I shouldn't say they seemed great with it. Everybody was good. Everybody had a great attitude. I then went and did a pre-briefing, which is actually on the live stream with the men to start. Told them, like we're in a new era. This is a new day. We're doing things right. And the guys were super receptive, and they were all on board. They're like, great. They're like this is what I think. This is what people wanted. They wanted consistency, and they wanted everybody held the same standard, so that they knew that they weren't going to be the only person doing it good, and someone over here's like not cheating, but skirting the reps and getting away with it and getting an advantage over them.
Hmm.
Right. So went well. Race goes off. Everything's going good. Um, and I mean, I've had people ask me if I thought the whole thing went well, and I said, well, have you heard anyone complaining about the reps? And nope, nobody has. Now, granted, we gave them something else to complain about, so that's cool. It was like a little smoke and mirrors, bit of a distraction. But so yeah, the men's race went off well. Then we went and the women's race. I was a little more hustled for time on the pre-race briefing, so I actually did the pre-race briefing at the start line. And again, they were very receptive and excited. They were happy about it. So women went through and they had a great race too. And then everything I think was really really good. By the way, and I said this just earlier, the DECA staff was fucking amazing to me. Like super supportive, super respectful, they brought me in like family, and I was like, wow, I was blown away how great they were. So I was any DECA staff, thank you so much. You guys are, to steal from Yancey, you're rock stars. You're amazing. Because they could have easily been like, you know, why is
Like
why is
someone
it?
kind of coming in and stepping on their toes.
Yeah, yeah, but there was none of that. They were great, and I'm like, it couldn't have made it any better for me. They made it so much easier than it should have been. So we have everything go pretty good, and then we have Bower Gate, where came obvious on the video stream that Jack had done essentially 80 meters of the 100 meters of the tank.
And
And
this especially matters because Jack won, if you didn't know.
yes, because Jack won. Jack won. Now, The good side of this is even if Jack had done five, judging by his pace and how he had done, he probably still would have won
Hmm.
because he won by over a minute. And I don't think that extra there and back was going to take him 60 seconds.
No.
No, because he was averaging about 27 seconds per there and back. So
Yeah.
he, in all likelihood, would have won. So the issue becomes, what do we do about it? And I mean, there's a lot of options. There's a thing in the penalty book that says, if someone takes off without finishing their last rep, like if the judge says you're not done and you take off, it's a minute and 30 penalty. And if Jack had taken off and the judge said, hey, that guy screwed off without finishing, that's what he would have got. But that wasn't the case. The judge told him he was done. So Jack was just following the judge's instructions. We missed it. I missed it. We all missed it. We didn't catch that had happened. And it went unnoticed until someone actually called after the awards and said, hey, this is what happened. And to me, whether it was after the awards or before the awards doesn't really make a difference. To me, it was after the race was completed and it was, as I said, the judge's call in the field stands, unless there's some form of an official protest or something along that lines. And there was nothing like that. But the problem becomes times, right? Like, this affects the standings and the overall standings and all that. So to say it was an easy decision, it was not. However, the first thought I had was judge's call stands on the floor. After much, much talking and much opinion gathering and all that stuff, it eventually did become my call, as Spartan had said, as Deka had said, this is you're the head official. You make these decisions. So we went through it all, talked to it, and I went with what I thought was best, and I still think is best, is that judge's call on the field stands. And Jack didn't get a penalty and ends up with the win. So far, I'll be honest, most of the responses I've got to this is I've been positive almost exclusively. But people can be more negative when they're not around me. So
I think people like to be pretty negative, openly or behind their little phones too. So I don't think that if people were really upset about it, they wouldn't say something. Maybe not like directly to you, but sometimes people will
yeah.
make their opinions known.
So that was the call I made. I stand by it. I will continue to stand by it. And the question was asked of me. So I have been secured to do Worlds and beyond, as the head official for Deka again. And the question was asked, is my stance the same, or will it be changed for Worlds? And the answer is my stance is exactly the same, and it will be the same for Worlds. Is
Yeah.
that we do not
Well,
have that? Yeah. So go ahead.
I think the biggest thing though is it's setting a precedent for reviewing video.
Mhm.
And where does that stop to? Um, and then, how long are we gonna wait for everybody to review videos? And then how much time will you give people if, they see something they didn't like? And, you have to draw a line somewhere. And I think if it's kind of the way sport is too. Like it's the judge's call. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where it was the tank, where it was a miscount and not like a questionable rep thing. But again, he was in a situation where like he was just doing his best and he was trying to count two lanes, and it's such an honest mistake. And we've said before too, the tank is the weird one where although it's only 10 reps, it takes so long to do the
Yeah.
tank in comparison that like it is one that it's ironically easier to forget reps in it. So I can understand how it all happened, but yeah, you can't open that can of worms when it comes to using video review for changing the outcome of races.
No, and the one point that people make, and this is a very good point, is well, you have the video, even if it is late and all that stuff, you have it, this is the case. Why can't you do something about it? And it's a solid question. It's a really good question.
Hmm.
The reason is, and my reasoning behind it, and you may or may not agree with it, is, and I'll use this as an example. we know Jack Bauer did 4 lengths of the tank. So if I give Jack Bauer a minute and a half penalty, that will move Jack to fourth. That puts Connor Bell into third. How many laps did Connor Bell do?
All of them.
You assume so,
Yeah.
but I don't have video of that. So
Hmm.
if I don't have video of that, I'm not holding him to the same standards I just held Jack to. So
Hmm.
I can't have it. I can't have video replay applied to only the few or if maybe one person that it hit and everybody else gets off scot-free. Is it
Yeah,
held
so
to be
now
the
you're
same standard?
essentially only penalizing the leaders of the race because that's who people were videotaping.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So it's of my opinion, and Deka backs me on this, that if I can't apply it to everybody, then I can't apply it to anybody. And
Hmm.
that's just sheer fairness. Again, with the exception of a few things. Safety. I will take a video replay on safety because that's safety, and that's not about competition. That's about you being unsafe. Abuse of an official. I'll take a video replay on that, 100%.
Hmm.
Things like that. And
Yeah.
and the other places where I would be useful is in if an athlete files an appeal for a penalty, like say they receive a penalty and they file appeal, and there's video that says, "Oh no, the penalty shouldn't have applied." Sure, we'll look at it. We'll talk from
Hmm.
there. So there's certain circumstances, but as far as rep quantity and quality, no, the stance is the same. It's not changing. Maybe one day, if there's some differences in tech or some this or that, or things change and the rule book changes, and who knows. But so I can't
Hmm.
say that it will forever be that way. But for the time being and until the rule book changes, and I would say for the near and probably far future, as long as I'm doing the gig, that's what it's going to be.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think it's the right call. So I mean, if you don't, hey, message me. I'll gladly talk about it with you. I don't hide from anyone. No problems. Easily accessible.
Well, I think your explanation is logical, so
Yeah. Really, because I'm looking for a fight. You know what I mean? Want none of this?
I agree, Dave. I agree.
Anyway, so it was all great. I did have to hurry home after all of it. And again with my ruck, I did not get my ruck run in. I was just too busy. So I brought it for nothing.
Yeah, I think you're crazy to think that you'd be able to do that. You're like, oh, nothing is happening right now. I'm gonna
Look,
go
look,
run for
look.
an hour.
Never have I expressed sanity in any straight form
You
or
just
whatever.
wanted to carry your rock around an
I
airport.
just wanted to be macho and cool. So actually, that is what I did on the way home.
You carried your rock?
I said, screw this. And so what I did was because I wasn't carrying that bag again. That was just terrible. So once I got there, I put the ruck on the as full backpack, put it on. Then I had my other backpack over top of it and walked through the airport like that. And even when I went through the scanner this time, I didn't even put it in the bag. I put it on a separate one. And of course, I got pulled off again.
Yeah.
And the poor lady from TSSA that went over to pick it up, she went over to grab the bag to bring it over to look at it. She's like, whose is this? I'm like, that's me.
Oh.
So she brought it over and she's just, what's it for? And I told her, she's like, is it a bulletproof vest or something? And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't really want to test it either.
I mean, it might hold up. I don't know.
I would think, I mean, it's probably 3/4 inch, steel. It might.
It might.
I don't know anything about bullets, so I got no idea. All
Hmm.
right, all right. My resident American tells me it depends on the bullets.
Yeah,
Probably.
probably.
So anyway, it was a much smoother trip going back than it was there. And yeah, it worked out great. And so I got back in time to go to Farm Girl and take part in that event, which we had a blast. It was awesome. We
Hmm.
had more farm girls take part than ever,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
a lot of first timers. We had a lot of fast timers. It was really good. We had 3 different people make it into an elite wave, some form or another, on the day. So
Oh, okay.
Chelsea Grant put in a time that brought her into the elite strong,
Hmm.
into the top 15, as well did Becca King. She showed up out of
Oh,
nowhere,
Becca King, yeah.
ran a 13:13,
Good for her. Awesome.
first event of the year. And then Zach Tate and Chelsea. as well put in a relay time that got them up there too.
Nice.
So three. Oh, whoa, whoa, and
Ashley Squire.
Ashley Squire up into the top 15 with a sub 12 strong.
Oh, that's awesome.
No,
Good for him.
11:45. Yeah, yeah. Oh, he
Yeah.
had the best reaction after. He's, you know, in full zone 11 out on the floor and they told him his time. He's like, yes.
Oh, that feels good, I'm sure. He's worked hard for that.
Oh, and again, what a super guy. Like just
Yeah.
and he helped judge the day and you know, Ash is always great. He's a good guy. They all are. Everybody there was fantastic supporting each other.
Hmm.
Um, I was again, as always, I'm just blown away by how these events go and how much fun we have and this, you know, this little boutique gym out in the farm,
Yeah.
one lane. and
Mhm.
everybody's so good. So it was awesome. Congratulations to everybody who put in the time and thanks for everyone who came out. And again, we missed Beth, we missed Jeff, but they're incredibly busy. So
I know. I just
hopefully
couldn't.
next time.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, it was good. That took longer than I expected. But do you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Because
All right.
after a certain point, it's probably not going to be as,
As relevant.
yeah.
All right, you want to go or you want me to start?
Well, we are referring to the CrossFit situation with Lazar. And what happened this week was his brother released a statement telling part of his story, the part that he feels like should be shared. Um, and it did not put Dave Castro in a very good light. And then there was a follow-up apology from Dave Castro, which was also a little bit insincere, a little bit trying to excuse his lack of empathy towards Lazar's family. And I think it's really upset a lot more people in the CrossFit community who were maybe trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the biggest thing, though, that came of it was Lazar's family did not give their blessing, as Dave Castro had said that they did, for the CrossFit Games to continue, which was probably one of the reasons a lot of the athletes felt like it was a good idea to continue. You know, if his family gave us their blessing, but really Castro went into the hotel room where his brother was, and they were talking about the games continuing, and Lazar's brother said he wasn't really feeling in the right place to make a decision or to really talk much about it. And Castro said, well, it's not really up to you anyways. And then went out and told the athletes that we have the family's blessing. So, um, yeah. And then apologized later, basically saying, I've never been in this kind of situation. I didn't really know what to do. So, which is a terrible way to try to apologize. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now.
So the first thing I look at there, and when you say, "Oh, his thing was, well, I've never been in this situation, and I really didn't know what to do." I don't know. How about not try to manipulate everybody with a lie from like a dead man's family?
Right.
Like it seems, yes, an awkward situation. Yes, it's a tough situation, but decency kind of like he just this kind of I still hear some Dave defenders saying, well, let's wait for and I've heard this from the beginning. Let's wait for the investigation. Let's wait for this. Let's wait for this. You don't need an investigation to tell you what you've already seen.
Hmm.
And what you've already seen is you saw a man like Luka Dukic say what he said, which is, I never said that, and this is what really happened.
Hmm.
And that if that wasn't enough, because this is what I expected. I expected that statement came out and then it was going to be radio silence from CrossFit and Dave,
Hmm.
which quite frankly, I'm still stunned it wasn't because I don't think Dave's lawyer or CrossFit's lawyer okayed this statement that Dave did because it was a bad idea. Because he essentially confirmed what Luca said
Hmm.
and pretty much admitted, and I'll be an apology, that he manipulated the athletes and the viewership of the CrossFit
Yeah.
Games into into taking part. And some people are like, well, you it should have continued and it should have continued. I'm not arguing if it should have went on or shouldn't have went on. What I'm arguing with is, like you said, athletes who took part under the pretense that this is what the family wanted, and they were doing it to honor the
Yeah.
family's wishes. Like if I
Hmm.
was there and I was a competitor, whether I was close to Lazar or not, and the Dukic family said, you know, we want this to happen. We want this to be a tribute to Lazar. I'd have stayed.
It would have meant something to me as an
Yeah,
athlete.
yeah.
Absolutely. Hmm.
But if Castro had come in and said, we want to do the games as a tribute to Lazar, and if he just said that and nothing about the family at all, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm sure the question would come up would be, what does Luca and the family think about this? And if his answer was, I don't know, they don't really seem
Well,
to
he could have said what the
what
brother said,
happened.
which
Yeah,
was he doesn't feel in the right frame of mind to say one way or the other.
yeah. And at that point, I probably would have been out. And either way, it would have weighed on my decision.
Hmm.
And I'm sure a lot of the athletes were that way too.
Hmm.
And so to me, it looks like this. And I think Dave is no idiot. And I think he knew this and he completely manipulated the situation. And then to go on live TV or live YouTube, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
and tell us as the viewers, we're doing this with the family's blessing and a lot of that. So I'm like, okay, it's okay for me to watch this because this is with the family's blessing.
Hmm.
Again, manipulation. And
Yeah.
and that's just twisted and sleazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's looking out for his own, really. It's extremely selfish. So his baby, CrossFit Games, is he feels like it's slipping between his fingers, and then he's trying to find a way to recover it. So he's playing on people's heartstrings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's like just
It's evil.
yeah,
I
it's
I don't understand from CrossFit's perspective. Like they know Dave Castro, and they probably, and I mean, I heard some athletes who've been in, this is their 10th, 11th games, and when they heard this all come down, they said things like, "This doesn't surprise me at all." So
yeah.
people that are close to Dave Castro probably know that he doesn't possess empathy or compassion. It's probably not a part of him at all. So why is that the guy that you're sending in to speak to this family? Like, do you not have a better PR person on your team that's going to go and talk to the family? Like, I think Dave Castro was like, I'm going to go in so that, again, I'm in control of the narrative that happens after.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't doubt it. And I was shocked, just shocked.
Uh-huh.
And it goes back to like, and people are still like, oh yeah, CrossFit needs him. You can't fire him. I'm like, are you off your gourd? Like, are you out of your mind? He manipulated the athletes. There's no trust there. They're not going to listen to him ever again.
Mm-hmm.
He lied about the dead man's family's wishes. He
Mm-hmm.
and then to stop it off, I mean, I thought he should have been gone anyway from the beginning, just from what I saw in the video of Lazar drowning, because
Yeah.
it was clear that costs were cut. They're volunteers. And that's the other thing Lazar put in his thing. Volunteers on those paddleboard, not paid,
Yeah.
right? For your
He didn't say
safety.
lifeguards. He just said volunteers.
Volunteers. Yeah, he didn't say lifeguards. So we're still not going on whether they were or what. So what I'm going to say is they were under-equipped volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, like you when you're running a job, any job, and he is the director of the games, you you're the responsibility. You own it. And being in construction, I've been on jobs where people have been very, very critically hurt. Where and I mean I was later to a job, but I've been on a job where guys have been killed. Somebody takes the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Things change and someone takes the fall. And that's the position that Castro's in. He's like, just like when it all goes well, he would get all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
When shit goes south like that, you you're the one that takes the fall. You're the one that has it. You that's your job. That's what you do. There's no way he was around. And I don't think there's any way that anyone should want him to stay on. right?
No, no. I think that they'll lose a lot of athletes if they don't make a really big decision right now, and he's definitely gone. And even like his lack of sensitivity after, because the family was also saying that they were going to attend the memorial that they had
Mhm.
for Lazar, but they requested that they don't have any media attention, and their request wasn't followed. So again, but it's like CrossFit needs their stories too, right? And like, um, yeah, it's just so disrespectful. Like I don't know if they don't do something, they're going to be in so much trouble. These athletes are just so hurt by this. So
Oh, and not to mention the financial, like this could be the end of the games.
yeah, I can't see it being the end of the games, but I think it could really change its face
Mhm.
if something's not done. Yeah. I think this is a great time for these other events, like Wadapalooza and these other ones, because I've seen them make statements too about um, their event coming up, and we're working with, was it the
The
PFAA?
PFFA,
Yeah,
PF,
PFFA.
yeah,
Like
PFAA.
directly, like they're part of our planning committee, and so these other big events that are like really using this to be like, look, we're going to take this stance now. We're going to use this athlete headed organization and focus on athlete safety. And if the CrossFit Games don't fall in line, and if these other events are offering big money, like or even like the Dubai CrossFit Open, which offers crazy amounts of money, like if these other CrossFit events, then maybe the games is just not the Olympics of CrossFit anymore. And, the athletes find other places to really focus their energy.
Well, I think the Dubai one had already separated itself from CrossFit and was already now the Dubai fitness competition or something along that lines.
Well,
Quite
maybe that's
frank,
what starts to happen too. They start even take the name CrossFit out of it.
quite frankly, I've always enjoyed the Rogue Invitational better than the CrossFit Games anyway.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
so and here's the thing with the PFA. So they made demands. They made a few, two to three demands. Two of them were actually very simplistic. One more uh, full disclosure, reasonable disclosure on the investigation, and then reasonable working together and creating a committee together for safety or whatever. Like, very reasonable shit. And then the third one was the removal of Dave from this CrossFit sport department. Not his firing, just his removal from that department. They could use him for other stuff too. And obviously, there's been no reaction to that. They don't really expect anything until after the investigation and all that stuff. But here's the thing, and I'm going to give the PFFA some free advice here from a third generation union guy. Number
Hopefully Brent
one,
Bukowski listens to our
oh,
podcast.
yeah, and I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. Actually, I'll be honest. I sent Caroline Prevo a message and said, "Fat, forward this to Brent. I don't care if he laughs at it or sneezes at it or what, but at
Yeah.
least you know." All right, number one, you currently represent roughly 140 people have voting or not voting are eligible to be members of your association. So it's 140 people because what they do is whoever was in the CrossFit Games for the past 2 years. That's the number they come up. Okay, so first off, if I'm running this thing, what I'm going to do is everybody who's competed in the open is open to join, is eligible to join the PFFAA. You're going to pay your dues of dirt cheap, called $5 a month, and you're part of the PFAA.
You're really struggling.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with that whatever acronym or whatever. So then everybody who has made it to semifinals is now voter eligible. So they have a vote. And what they have a vote in is two things. They get a vote in the executive committee and they get a vote in work stoppages. Those are the two things they get a vote in. And then your executive committee is the one that makes all the decisions and votes on other stuff. So you might have like 10, 11 members of the executive committee, and they vote on day-to-day stuff, on everything that goes on, right? All right, you go from there. And now when you go to the CrossFit Games, you have everybody in the semifinals on is in your voting regiment. They're a member of your team. And when you have issues, you go to CrossFit and you say, we need this, this, this. When you have demands like the three you're doing, and then CrossFit has to look at it and say, okay, well, we're not going to live up to your demands. And you're like, great, we're going to go back to our membership. We're going to have a vote on a work stoppage, which means we're not going to the games or anything else sanctioned by CrossFit. And we're going to go to the Rogue Invitational and we're going to go to the NorCal Classic and we're going to go to Wadapalooza, and we're going to tell them we're coming with the best athletes as long as you're not affiliated with CrossFit, as long as CrossFit's not in the title. And now all of a sudden, the games are meaningless. Wadapalooza, we'll use that as an example, is the premier fitness event. And that's your nuclear option. That's what keeps CrossFit afraid, and that's what makes CrossFit work with you. If you have your smaller group and you're not put together that way, your demands may or may not be met, but you're not swinging with all your power. You got to come with all your power. You have to expand and become stronger. And that's how you do it. That's, that's what the NHL does. That's what the NBA does. Every player is part of it. You need a nuclear option. And right now the PFAA has no nuclear option. So they may hint at it subtly, but they're not a strong united group and they're not coming off that way. And that's what they need to fix. And then, like, say, if you have a couple of people that are like, no, I'm going there anyway. Okay, great. And I'm going to throw this name out. Let's say everybody agrees, but there's a couple of people. Tia Toomey goes. I don't know. Yona Hosta goes. I'm just random names. And nobody else goes. It's still not a good competition. It's actually worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be more so, but even this year, I mean, Laura Horvath wasn't there and Jeffrey Adler weren't there. Last year's winners. So there was still, like, it still felt different.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine if another 70 to 80% of those athletes weren't there and they were done with just athletes who were lesser.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how you do it. That's PFFA. You need a nuclear option. You need a nuclear option, and that's how you get it. But right now, I think they just want to represent these top level, and they're not all together on it. So there's strength in numbers. That's how unions work.
Yeah.
So that's my free advice. I'm giving out gold for free. Well, I mean, obviously, I think you think the demands are reasonable that they made, even though we'll see if they happen.
I do. I mean, the only one where people were like, okay, you can't demand that was the removal of Dave. But I think at this point you can say that.
Seems pretty reasonable now, doesn't it?
Yeah. 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 Because I think they said they posted that before Lazar's family made a statement. So I think now people are like, okay, fine, he needs to go.
Well, I've heard some interviews with Brent and Pat Vellner, who are very, like, Brent's the president and Pat's a very part of the executive board. And they were saying this is not just about this. This is ongoing with Dave. He's part of the culture of not working together and more well, this is my show. This is my way. If you don't like it, don't come.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we've said this before, I think we're only just seeing something now because there was a tragedy, but I think there's so much that goes on with Dave Castro behind closed doors that we don't see. And I think if the athletes are like, we're done with him, I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Yeah. CrossFit, you say you're about community. Listen to your community. All right. Let's do our Ask Bethany. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
This is not super silly, but it's also not complicated.
Okay.
Is this the most important or least important question in High Rocks? What shoes do I wear? Look at the wheels turn.
The most important question?
Yeah, because some people say the most important question in High Rocks is what shoes do you wear? Some people, well, actually me, I say that's the least important question.
What would be like another question about like
how should I train?
How do I train?
How do I train? What do I wear?
How far do I need to squat?
How far do I need to squat?
What should my max bench press be?
Yeah, exactly. What should my max? How much should I be able to deadlift?
Yeah.
Yeah. So put it this way. Here, I'll reword it just because I was just kind of joking around.
Yeah.
Is your shoe choice that important?
I mean, it's important if you're talking about wearing like a pair of shoes that has zero tread. You pull them out of the basement, they're covered in dust, and I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure. Are you going to be fine in your everyday runner if you're trying to complete it and you're probably racing open, so the sleds are more manageable? You're going to be fine. So I think avoiding the extremes here. Do you need a $300 carbon plated propulsion shoe? No. If are you trying to be in like are you an Elite 15? Are you trying to get into the Elite 15? I think then all these minute details matter even more. Um, you probably need to wear a propulsion plate shoe. But I think in the other situations, no, just don't wear. But I wouldn't say that if you were racing like, you're like Jolly Jog 5K, but I mean, at least you're not gonna slip around when trying to push a sled. But
Yeah, it is the most popular question you see in any High Rocks group. Is what shoes, what shoes, what shoes, or as I say in the UK, what trainers. And to
yeah,
me, I think, while it is a valid question, it's kind of like that last 5% of importance.
yeah, get your training right, and then you're probably like you're gonna be fine. Like even if you wear the shoes you train in, you're probably like you're gonna be fine. If you could move your sled at your gym, you're probably gonna be fine. Like, barring disasters and stuff.
And just for people who are worried that like I can't push the sled in this shoe or that shoe or that shoe, I push the sled in New York in my sandals.
Yeah, well, I think we again when Hyrox first started,
It's
the sleds
different.
were harder to move. Yeah, it was different. So we did see the situation with Corinna, who
Yes.
had her 12-minute sled push and her shoes were
Yeah.
falling off. We don't see that happen anymore. It was
No,
different.
it was
So
different. They were heavier and the carpet was different. Everything was different. And
yeah,
then I would tell you it was more important. But at this current
yeah.
time, especially if you're running open, you know what shoes you wear? You wear it, and I think who was I talking with? I can't remember. It might have been the guys on Race Brain. I'm like, I thought you just wear the shoes you're comfortable to run in, provided they're not, glass slippered bottoms that are going to slide all over the floor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and for people who say, "Oh, there's a best shoe, there's a best shoe, there's a best shoe," then why is it when I look at the Elite 15, there's so many different shoes?
Okay.
More so now.
Uh-oh.
It's getting to be a little bit more now, a bit different because Puma's coming out with their new propulsion plate shoe. I
The
mean, there was
cheater?
a time, was that?
The cheater?
Well, is it a rule in High Rocks? Is stack height
No,
a
it's not
rule?
a real High Rocks at all.
Okay. Then they're legal and they're just not legal in the IAAF, but
What does
yeah.
the PFFA feel about them?
Well,
By the way, PFAA, PFA is a terrible name for an organization. Maybe it's not. Say with some gusto. All right,
yeah.
what were you going to say?
You need to do something similar to the oven mitt, John.
Oh,
Slippers.
okay.
The High
Yeah.
Rock slippers.
Maybe I'll do the High
Can you
Rock
do a
Sandal
High
Challenge.
Rocks and slippers?
I don't
You're
think I
gonna
have.
run 8K in slippers? I'd
No,
probably get the
I'm
dress
not.
registered.
Okay. So, dude, did you notice when we did the ultra? Dude did it in jean shorts and Crocs.
I noticed.
Did we ever talk about that? Because that was crazy. I didn't notice till his last set of burpees. I'm like, I knew he had the jean shorts on. I'm like, holy crap, he's got Crocs on too. And
Well, I
apparently,
actually thought, how there's like really stretchy jeans that kind of look like,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I thought that's what they were, but I saw him do lunges and it didn't
No,
look
no,
comfortable.
they were like legit. And
Yeah,
that guy, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name. Apparently, he's done like hundreds of decas.
in that.
And he was there in Ocala last weekend
Oh
in the
wow. In the
jean
same.
shorts.
Oh wow.
No Crocs, but he was in the jean shorts. At least I don't think he had the Crocs on. But I mean, whoa, dude.
My daughter runs in Crocs all the time. She thinks still they're the most comfortable training shoe.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, one more thing, fails and sales. I'm going to start with a sale, and this one is out of
Okay.
nowhere. Netflix customer service. No word of a lie. So somebody hacked my Netflix account.
Okay.
So I couldn't even log on. So I called Netflix, was on hold for 2 minutes, had everything sorted within 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then it happened again.
You got hacked
Like
again?
2 days later, got hacked again, changed the passwords. 2 days later, got hacked again, and again, 10 minutes and was fixed.
Wow.
And I had to completely change emails associated with the whole deal. But yeah, Netflix customer service, who'd have thought? Fantastic. way to go. 5-star rating for Netflix customer service. That's my
There's a
sale.
win.
That's my sale. What do you got?
My sale. Well, I actually wanted to point out an athlete who has just been like blowing my mind here. She's PB'd in all of her DECA distances. So this weekend she ran a mile. I think she took like a minute off her time, a DECA mile. We're talking about Katie Duke.
Oh, yeah.
She super impressed me at the DECA Fit in Philly and with a 34:23, which again, I think we're talking like again a minute and a half from her time last year at Worlds. And then she did a strong the weekend after and went 13 low, like 13, she did 13:02. So again, getting close to that 13-minute mark is just phenomenal. And Katie
Mhm.
Duke is like when you think of Katie, you don't think of like a DECA strong athlete. You know, she's definitely more your DECA fit type. So to get that kind of a time, and then she just did she did a mile in a 19:07.
So Katie Duke and Grayson Kilgore have just become this Deca power couple. I think they're a
Yeah,
couple. I'm not 100% sure of that, but are they not? No? No?
don't
Okay,
think
they're not.
so.
Deca power duo because they do team up.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll go with that. And wow, they've just been on fire. I mean, I
yeah,
know Katie had the thing in Oaks with the
yeah.
with the burpees. By the way, thanks for the job, Katie. And and other than that, like they
But
have
yeah,
been
it
on
took nothing
fire.
away from how
No,
fast she ran it anyways. Like,
and how and a little more extension on those burpees, but how fast those burpees were.
yeah,
Like, wow, she was moving. And at the end of it,
yeah,
I was just she's crazy fit.
yeah.
I'm
And
just
her running looked phenomenal. Like
her
all
running
of
is
her,
frightening.
yeah, yeah. Look out for Katie Duke this year.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a good one. Okay. And you ready for my fail?
Okay.
Stupid fucker who hacked my Netflix twice.
Okay. What is your password? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Oh, now I got to change it again. Actually, my password was rock solid. I don't know how they got it. There's capitals, there's numbers, there's things, there's
Oh wow.
vague, reasonable hand-drawn facsimile of a tattoo. Like I don't know. There's lots going on in there. All right, what do you got for a fail?
And this is something that we're going to talk about more in depth, but OCR World in Costa Rica. I definitely went down a rabbit hole reading all sort of comments, trying to figure out what was going on because there wasn't really a clear story. But in the women's race, we had a situation that was very confusing for all of the athletes involved, where one athlete was given instructions that if there's no marshal at an obstacle, you're allowed to go around it. Some of the athletes did, including Nicole Miracle and Ulrike, and it changed the outcome of the race. And so obviously there was controversy on this because other athletes didn't know that and they completed said obstacles. And that's a really big mistake at a world championship. And I think there was a bit more that went on that weekend that was troublesome for this level of a competition. So we are going to have a guest on to talk about all of this, but that's a pretty big fail, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And like I've heard some good things from there, but I have heard some bad things, and the attendance was much lower than it was in Belgium last year. I do think they're learning. And here's the really sad part right now is it still might be the most premier world championship that OCR has right now. However, in Croatia, Spartan's doing that 100 meter, and you
Yeah.
have Jesse Graff and Tiana Weberly, big names from American Ninja Warrior, going over to do that. I'm excited about that. I believe, as I've said for a long time, the 100 meter is going to be taking off more and more and more.
Well, even just getting Jesse Graff to come.
Yeah, and Tiana Weberly came third in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
former guest of the show.
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
and actually, like super nice person. Really, really like her. Yeah, Jessie Graff's just wow. She's something to watch,
Yeah.
and it will
Yeah.
be cool to see her going. I don't know how she'll do. I'll be perfectly honest, because I've always known Jessie to be like I'm a fan of Ninja Warrior, but speed runs were not her thing.
She has just crazy grip endurance.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think she said she PR'd her pull-ups and did like 40 something the other day. Yeah. So, I mean, unbelievable power, unbelievable grip. But like Tiana Weberly was someone I think more was a fast person for that. And if you want to excel at that 100 meter, you better be dialed into that course because you got to know every little hand touch on it and you got to be flying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think she will go, and I think it's great for the sport. I do not expect her to come away with a podium
Yeah.
unless she takes it super seriously and gets dialed in. But I think she has so much going on that that's not really a feasible thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Who knows?
but I'll be watching.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. And by the way, also two incredible role models for young women. Love them both.
Yeah, absolutely. Hmm.
All right. Our short episode that was not so short is done again. You want to call it?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks everyone so much for listening. Congrats to everyone who competed this weekend in Ocala and all the little DECA events going on. We're coming up to our last qualifying weekend for DECA this weekend. So we'll probably be seeing lots of names out there, trying to get some last minute quals in. So all the best to anyone racing this weekend, and thanks so much for listening.
And one more thing, I did say thank you to the DECA staff who was so good to me, but also thank you to all the racers who were equally good to me. You guys are super supportive, and I will continue to no rep your ass.